Hey everyone, welcome to another Versus video with me, Brad Nelson. Today I'm joined with BBD.
BB Dizzle.
Dizzle, yes.
Yeah.
And today I'm going to be playing Mono Red Devotion. I've got a red theme going on this week. I have two different red decks. Tom Ross, is moving to Roanoke pretty soon here, so like...
Thought you'd get in the zone.
Welcome Wigan, yeah.
Yeah.
And but today I'm going to be playing Red Devotion because there's a couple cards that, actually a few, because couple means two. I learned that in first grade.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That is, I never got past kindergarten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few new cards in the deck that all make the Devotion deck look really good. So let's take a look at the Mono Red Devotion deck. So it's actually kind of cool because even cards from the last two sets have been building this Devotion. Like, I feel like Wizards' new Devotion was overpowered when they were designing this set because it was already a year later and they were seeing the impact that Nykthos had on decks. So for cons, they kept it very minimal. Like there was nothing you could really do with M15 and cons to build Devotion decks. But they have definitely been hammering it home, as you can tell with Flamewake Phoenix having double red and Martyr Scout being double red, but there were still not enough tools.
Yeah.
And now, sure, we don't have Burning Tree Emissary to really go over the top, but we have Dragon Whisperer to be another double Devotion card that also has huge impact on the game when you're flooding out, right? Like, because it's not that hard to get 8 power into play. Let's just be honest. Like,
yeah,
the finals of GP Miami would prove that it's not even difficult to get 80 power into play, let alone 8.
Yeah.
And so, getting his, what's the word? Formidable?
Formidable.
All right, I'm gonna call it Ferocious forever. Let's just be clear, guys at home. Ferocious is two different keywords now, because Formidable, I'm just gonna forget that. But just to make a 4/4 dragon every turn when the boards are stalled can easily win a game.
Yeah.
What else can easily win a game is all the cards that we're ramping into with our Nykthos package. Now we've got our Fanatic of Mogus, which is just the namesake card for the deck. Like, you just get a bunch of Devotion to play and just play one of these and deal them 10 to 16 damage somewhere in there. Stormbreath Dragons can come down and get monstrous right away, or just threaten to kill them in 2 turns. But the new one that's another 4-drop is Thunderbreak Regent, which is just a 4/4 with 2 red symbols. It helps bring back our Flamewake Phoenixes, helps hit in the air, combos really well with Hammer Perforos, but has a toughness that is scarier than an Ash Cloud Phoenix. Now, this deck could play Ash Cloud Phoenix, but that guy doesn't block. I want to play something that actually can interact with my opponent that is not just going to die to literally being touched.
Yeah, and it doesn't die to Slash, Lightning Strike, etc. like Ash Cloud does. And if it dies to something like a Downfall or an Abzan Charm, you still get to dome them for 3.
Yeah, and that's huge. Getting that extra damage in.
I mean, that matters a lot when you're playing this guy in your deck.
Yeah.
Or this guy in your deck.
Oh, for sure. Or even this guy, Like, these are going to deal some damage. And being able to make sure that you can deal 3 damage is going to be relevant. Where Ash Cloud, like when you're stuck on mana or you're trying to get Devotion enabled, like they can just kill it and it's gone, or it's morphed and it's irrelevant. Where that's just not the case. Plus, if you have a Hammer Perforos, you just hit him for 4, a guaranteed 7 points. Because this guy is not going to really get blocked in the air, but he's going to deal damage to an opponent.
Yep.
Last but not least is Roast. Now, Roast lets us not play Temples and Battlefield Forges and add another color to our deck to be able to kill cards like Courser, Crufix, and Rhino. Granted, you're not going to be able to kill any flyers with a card like Roast, but it's going to deal with all the problematic cards that Chain to the Rock was going to answer anyway. So this is like the big addition to just turn this into a mono red deck, and gives the mono red Devotion deck a premium removal spell, whereas like it never had that before. It had to go outside of mono red to be able to kill the big creatures, but it was so vulnerable to like enchantment removal, which you could bring in because of this, or Utter End blowing you out, or things like that. Like, being able to just kill a guy, put it in the graveyard, and be done with it is so much more important than playing these Chain to the Rocks.
And I also think it's important now that you're not vulnerable to Peak Eruption.
That is true. Peak Eruption was starting to get some play at the end of the season, actually. Spoiler alert, I'm playing them against Todd later today. Or later this week. And 1 Dirty Perf, just because this guy can just help end a lot of games, is a mana sink when you have a bunch of guys in play. And can do some sweet things with both of these guys. Like, making a 4/4 deals 2 damage now. If the board is stalled, you can just keep dashing it and putting it back in your hand to just keep dealing damage.
Yep.
Not playing any Zergos or any 1-drops, because this deck usually doesn't want the 1-drops. Like, they feel like they should be there on paper, but like in game, they're just going to get immediately invalidated. But in the sideboard, you will see that we do have a 1-drop. So let's take a quick look at the sideboard. Then we'll check out the deck that BBD is going to try to beat me with. And then we'll
try
go
being the operative word there.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
Because you're going to try. It's not going to be successful, but you're going to try.
I mean, it might be successful. We don't know yet.
I mean, that's magic. All right, so in the sideboard, this is the 1-drop I was talking about, the Fire Drinker Satyrs. You just want some aggressive creatures that can deal a lot of damage against the control decks.
Yep.
Now, this version, it can get drowned much more easily than old versions of Mono Red because Frostborn Weird was an unfair Magic card that took us a long time to figure out how actually good it was.
Yeah.
But you still want some pressure in the early game. You can't really beat them with just all these like mid-range 4-drops and 5-drops and things like that. You need to get under them, force them to interact with those. Then you can sneak in some of your other guys. You don't really want devotion cards like Fanatic Amogus in your deck because they're just trying to take you off devotion.
Yeah, you don't want a 4-2 that deals them 1 damage.
Exactly. So that's why we have like Oppo Siege and Sarkans on our top end to help out when we just need to gut the middle of our deck, go lower, go bigger. Wild Slash and Arc Lightning are here to just help out against the aggressive other red decks. And Harness by Force, I feel like this card is going to be good against you today.
Is it? Am I playing
like
giant green creatures that are very easy to harness and then immediately kill me with?
I should have played 4 because I think that's the optimal list moving forward for all time, for all red decks forever. And this was the linchpin.
Yeah.
This video is where that's moving on to. And I mean, let's be honest, I'm pretty good at figuring out metagames. And for the future of Magic, 4 Harness by Force is correct, so we should get 2 more.
Yeah.
Starting now, I won't be wrong.
Brad's really good at metagaming, and since he knew the deck that I was playing in this video, he decided he wanted to metagame against it.
Because
he knew
Harness by Force,
he knew the metagame was a single match against just red-green.
Yes.
So he's like,
and as a metagame master, I definitely should have played 4 of the card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a clear punt.
Yeah. I'm just not that good. Yeah. Anyway, that's Mono Red Devotion. Hopefully we'll be able to see it finally back in action. I feel like these are just enough cards to push this deck over. But who knows? Maybe Wild Slash, a real shock in the format, will keep it down for the foreseeable future. But anyway, let's take a look at Green-Red Ramp, and then we'll go to battle.
All right.